Welcome into the Original Gangsters podcast. I'm your host, Scott Burnstein. Quick hitter edition. We're going to go out to the Bronx and check in with the Bonanno crime family. We're about a half a year or so into this newest, freshest iteration of the Bonanno mob's administration. Are all on the street together since Mafia Don Mikey Mancuso came home from his year as a guest of the government back in August. So it's been roughly about 6-7 months with this, I will call it the Mikey Mancuso 2.0 regime, where he's in reclamation mode and is concentrated on his legacy. And so far, this new edition of the Mikey Mancuso regime in the Bonanno crime family is getting rave reviews from a lot of guys that I talk to, both sides of the law, that really keep their fingers, help me keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on in New York City and in the five families. And Mikey Mancuso is reshaping his legacy, it looks like, in a more diplomatic direction, and is eager to kind of shed the cowboy persona, hair triggered madman that that kind of not very becoming of a Don type reputation. And he's doing an amazing job according to our sources, and is really being rewarded for his decision to delegate Johnny Joe Spirito and Bruno Indelicato, his underboss and consigliere, respectively, and his decisions to put those two guys in those two posts have proved, home run decisions. And these are, again, two guys that are in Spirito and Indelicato, who are reshaping their legacies and their reputations in real time later in life, on the back nine, if you will. Guys that were known as cowboys, wild cards, for lack of a better expression, they're going from hitmen to statesmen. And it falls in line with what Mancuso's being able to do and setting the tone for that. So, talking to a lot of different people, it looks like Johnny Joe is really running the family because of Mancuso's, supervised release restrictions and whatnot. And on a day-to-day basis, Johnny Joe is the man to be, deferred to, and is just really impressing a lot of the other crime family leaders in their interactions with him, and really exceeding their expectations, and being a level-headed statesman, politician, and not somebody that is, has the reputation of strictly as an enforcer. All these guys that we're talking about in this administration right now, Mancuso, Bruno Indelicato, and Johnny Joe Spirito, they're all convicted murderers. In two of these cases, in terms of Indelicato and Mancuso, they're both two-time convicted murderers. But that's really neither here nor there. Now in the 2020s, these are guys that are older, wiser, and in terms of Mancuso, why I'm calling it, the Mancuso 2.0 regime is that, he never really got, he was in prison for the first 15, took power in 13 officially, came out of prison in 18. So for the first 5 years, but before that he'd been acting from behind bars, but basically, had been locked up for, more than a dozen years in his role as acting boss and then full boss. And then when he came out, he had to deal with his insurgents, which plays into what we're talking about today about stabilizing the crime family instead of accelerating the tensions, and a lot of people are giving Mancuso kudos for that. That a lot of people thought it might have gone in the other direction as of what it looked like a couple of years ago. But Mancuso has again played the statesman and has been playing three-dimensional chess here, worrying about the state of the family, worrying about his standing and the family standing within the other five families, and worrying about his legacy. So you had those years behind bars. You had he's coming out, and then immediately he's met with this insurgents from Brooklyn that he's got to put down. Cooler heads didn't really prevail at first. We know about the brawl at the funeral home in 22. That led to what we reported exclusively, contracts going out on the Camerano brothers and shootings and firebombings that all seemed to calm down around the time that Mancuso had to go away in 23. Johnny Joe takes over as acting boss and, again, really exceeds expectations. Then in the last year, we reported exclusively that Bruno Indelicato got the bump up to consigliere. Bruno kind of described as a frenemy of Mancuso's for decades. Indelicato, best friends with Vinny Basciano. Basciano tried to kill Mancuso. So there's always going to be, that kind of residual tension via affiliation. But the decision, I'm being told by Mancuso, to bring Indelicato into the administration, trusting that just like Johnny Joe, he had kind of matured and was more mild-mannered and diplomatic than his previous shoot first, ask questions later mentality, has really paid big dividends in stabilizing the Bonannos, taking them from the brink of war to into the top echelon of the five families right now in terms of respect and power. Mancuso is being looked at now at the same level as, not the same level, but at the near level of the Gambinos and the Genovese, guys like Barney Bellomo and Italian Dom Cefalù and Lorenzo Menino. But Mancuso's not that far behind, and he's really making a name for himself and a legacy, again, to keeping the family consolidated and focusing on chemistry and putting it all back together as opposed to tearing it down, which he could have done, which a lot of people kind of thought he was going to do if he continued his vendetta against Brooklyn. That leads us to the decision to bring Bruno Indelicato into the admin. And Indelicato, according to our sources, has bridged a gap and built a bridge for a lot of those Brooklyn guys to come back into the fold. And their past sins not going to be held against them. Also bringing in guys that were loyal to Vinny Basciano that previously weren't welcomed in by Mancuso, now kind of being brought back into the fold. Basciano is fighting an appeal right now. He's got a slugger's chance, a puncher's chance, I guess, at getting the Randy Pozzolo hit, tossed. I don't know. We'll see. But I know his attorneys feel confident. And his attorneys, some of it's himself. But we're at a point now where he's open to mending those fences. And there's even talk that Joe Camerano, Joe C. Himself could be brought back and given control over the Brooklyn territory. That is unconfirmed, whether or not that's on the verge of happening or talked about being the possibility of happening. I'd heard that there had been those talks, but again, unconfirmed. What I did hear was that Joe C. has told a lot of people that he's happy being a civilian and removed from the life. We all know, people that follow this, he was acting boss when Mikey Knows was doing his 13 years. And while Mikey was finishing up his sentence, Joe C. tried to take over the family, almost succeeded, held a capo vote, won the capo vote, but the other crime families, as well as Vinny Badalamenti, Mikey's first consigliere, blocked it and Mikey Mancuso kept control of the family. It's also noteworthy that Vinny Badalamenti, was okay with stepping back and giving Bruno Indelicato that position as consigliere. And again, just like Johnny Joe Spirito, who's impressing a lot of the other crime family bosses, Bruno Indelicato, very well connected, goes all the way back to the Galante hit. As a shooter in the Galante assassination, part of the commission case, but was always known as a wild child. And now he's leveraging all those connections he made for all those, he was in prison for 30 of the last 40 years, leveraging all those connections he made, and all those networks, and remaking his reputation as a statesman, just like Johnny Joe, just like Mikey Mancuso. So it's been an impressive 2 year kind of change, a 180. And in terms of Mikey Mancuso, after over a half year of this administration being all on the street together, it's been very harmonious and very beneficial for everybody. So, that's our check-in Original Gangsters podcast. We're giving you your true crime fix, always giving you the breaking news in all underworld activity across North America. Please like, share, and subscribe. Scott Burnstein, uncovering the underworld, one city, one region, one country at a time. I'm